And to the 2025 Commissioner Cup champion, Indiana Fever.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into one of the most electrifying games of the 2025 WNBA season, a game that had everyone talking. The Indiana Fever, without their star rookie Caitlin Clark, pulled off a stunning 81-54 blowout victory over the defending champion Las Vegas Aces on July 3rd, 2025 at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. This wasn't just a win, it was a statement. Led by the dynamic duo of Kelsey Mitchell and Aaliyah Boston, the Fever snapped a 16-game losing streak against the Aces, a skid that dated back to 2020. And they did it against a team powered by the reigning MVP, Aaliyah Wilson. So, how did this happen? How did Indiana dominate one of the league's powerhouses without their biggest star? Let's break it all down in this deep dive into the game, the performances, and what it means for both teams moving forward. Buckle up, because this one's a wild ride. First, let's set the stage. The Indiana Fever were coming off a massive high. Just 2 days earlier, on July 1st, they won the 2025 Commissioner's Cup Championship against the Minnesota Lynx, holding them to a season-low 74 points. That victory showed the Fever were finding their groove, especially on the defensive end. But facing the Las Vegas Aces, a team with a storied history and a roster stacked with talent, was a whole different challenge. The Aces, despite a slightly uneven 8-9 record at the time, had Aaliyah Wilson, a player who's been a nightmare for opponents all season. Add in players like Jackie Young and Chelsea Gray, and you've got a squad that's always a threat. Meanwhile, the Fever were without Caitlin Clark, their all-star guard, who was sidelined for her fourth straight game with a left groin injury. Many expected this to be a tough night for Indiana, but what we got was a masterclass in team basketball, grit, and defensive dominance. Let's start with the Fever's game plan, because it was executed to perfection. From the opening tip, Indiana came out with a purpose. They scored the first 6 points of the game and never looked back, setting the tone early. Their offense was fluid, their defense was suffocating, and they played with a level of confidence that made it clear they weren't intimidated by the Aces championship pedigree.
Colson saw an opening, finds a cutting Mitchell for two.
Smart decision by Sydney Colson.
The Fever's strategy revolved around 3 key pillars: relentless defense, paint dominance, and balanced scoring. And at the heart of it all were Kelsey Mitchell and Aaliyah Boston, who stepped up in a big way to fill the void left by Clark. Kelsey Mitchell was an absolute force in this game. She finished with a game-high 25 points on 9 of 18 shooting, including 3 triples, and added 6 assists, 2 steals, and just 2 turnovers in 29 minutes. Mitchell's performance was a reminder of why she's one of the most dangerous scorers in the WNBA. She was aggressive from the jump, attacking the basket, knocking down jumpers, and setting up her teammates with crisp passes. One of the standout moments came in the second quarter when she connected with Aaliyah Boston on a beautiful pick-and-roll play that led to a 15-foot jumper, pushing Indiana's lead to 15. That play was emblematic of Mitchell's night. She was the engine of the offense, initiating plays and getting her own shots while keeping the Aces' defense on its heels. Mitchell's recent form has been nothing short of spectacular. Over her last 4 games leading up to this matchup, she was averaging 25.8 points per game, ranking 8th in the league in scoring at 19 points per game. This performance against the Aces strengthened her case for a 2025 WNBA All-Star nod, with the final 12 selections set to be announced soon after the game. What makes Mitchell's night even more impressive is how she stepped up as the primary ball handler without Clark. She orchestrated the offense with poise, making smart decisions and avoiding the kind of mistakes that can kill momentum against a team like the Aces. Her ability to balance scoring and playmaking was crucial, especially in the first half when Indiana built a commanding lead. Speaking of that lead, let's talk about Aaliyah Boston, who was equally dominant. Boston finished with 20 points on an efficient 9 of 13 shooting, 7 rebounds, and a couple of assists. She was a monster in the paint, where the Fever outscored the Aces 38-20 for the game. Boston's presence was felt early as she scored 8 points and grabbed 4 rebounds in the first quarter alone. Her ability to score on hook shots, jumpers, and layups gave the Aces front court fits. One highlight was a second quarter sequence where she hit a 14-foot jumper off a pass from Mitchell, showcasing their chemistry and Indiana's ability to exploit mismatches in the post. Boston's performance wasn't just about scoring. Her defensive work was critical in limiting the Aces' supporting cast. While Aaliyah Wilson put up 29 points, Boston and the Fever's front court made life difficult for everyone else. The Aces, outside of Wilson, shot a dismal 7 of 43 from the field, a testament to Boston's rim protection and Indiana's team defense. Boston's ability to anchor the paint while also contributing offensively is why she's been averaging 20 points over her last 6 games. She's blossoming into the star many expected when she was drafted, and this game was a perfect example of her two-way impact. Now, let's not overlook Natasha Howard, who was named the Commissioner's Cup MVP just days earlier. Howard added a double-double with 11 points and 10 rebounds, providing the kind of veteran presence that kept Indiana steady. Her work on the boards helped the Fever control the glass, and her defensive versatility allowed them to switch on screens and disrupt the Aces' flow. Howard's impact wasn't always in the stat sheet. Her hustle plays, like diving for loose balls and setting hard screens, set the tone for Indiana's physicality. The Fever's defense was the real story of this game. They held the Aces to a jaw-dropping 26.2% shooting from the field, the lowest percentage by a Fever opponent in 15 years. Las Vegas also committed 17 turnovers, which Indiana converted into 19 points. The Fever's full-court press, especially in the second half, was relentless. A standout moment came late in the third quarter when Sophie Cunningham stole an inbound pass and converted a layup, pushing the lead to 20 and igniting the Gainbridge Fieldhouse crowd. That play led to an Aces timeout as they struggled to find answers for Indiana's pressure. The first half was where Indiana really put their stamp on the game. They closed the second quarter with a 25-7 run, taking a 46-24 lead into halftime. The Fever shot an incredible 64% from the field in the first half, missing just 2 shots in the second quarter. They had 13 assists on 18 baskets, showing how well the ball was moving. The paint was their domain, with a 28-10 scoring advantage over the Aces. Meanwhile, Las Vegas struggled mightily. Aja Wilson had 17 of their 24 first-half points, shooting 6 of 13, while the rest of the team went 2 of 18. The Aces also coughed up 10 turnovers, a sign of how rattled they were by Indiana's defensive intensity. Let's talk about Aja Wilson for a moment, because even in a blowout loss, she was a force. Wilson finished with 29 points on 9 of 18 shooting and 11 of 13 from the free throw line, accounting for more than half of the Aces' points. She was the only Vegas player to score in double figures, with Jackie Young's 6 points being the next highest. Wilson's performance was a reminder of why she's the reigning MVP and one of the league's all-time greats. But even her brilliance couldn't overcome the Fever's team effort. Indiana's game plan was clear. Let Wilson get hers, but shut down everyone else. And it worked to perfection. The Aces' supporting cast, including stars like Young and Chelsea Gray, was held to just 7 of 43 shooting, a 16% clip that tells you everything you need to know about Indiana's defensive dominance. The Aces did show some fight in the second half, starting the third quarter with a 6-0 run from the free throw line and a Wilson bucket to cut the lead to 13 at 49-36. But the Fever responded with back-to-back threes from Lexi Hull and Kelsey Mitchell, restoring a 21-point lead by the end of the third quarter at 68-47. From there, the game was never in doubt. Indiana's ability to answer every Aces run showed their resilience and focus, qualities that have defined their recent surge. This win was historic for the Fever. It marked their first victory over the Aces since August 27, 2019, ending a 16-game head-to-head losing streak that was the second longest against any opponent in WNBA history. It also moved Indiana to 9th and 8th, putting them over .500 for the first time since June 17th and ahead of the Aces for 7th in the WNBA standings. For a team that's been rebuilding and dealing with injuries, this was a massive confidence booster. So, what made this performance so special? Let's break it down to a few key factors. First, the Fever's defense was elite. Holding the Aces to 54 points, their lowest total of the season, was no small feat. Indiana's ability to force 17 turnovers and limit Las Vegas to 26% shooting showed a level of defensive cohesion that's becoming their trademark. Coach Stephanie White deserves credit here. Her game plan was flawless, and her adjustments, like deploying a 2-point guard lineup with Ari McDonald and Sydney Colson, kept the Aces off balance. Second, the Fever's offense was a well-oiled machine. Their 49% shooting and 38-20 advantage in the paint highlighted their ability to attack the basket and share the ball. The pick-and-roll chemistry between Mitchell and Boston was unstoppable, and players like Howard and Cunningham chipped in with timely contributions. Indiana's 13 assists on 18 first-half baskets showed how unselfish they were, a stark contrast to the Aces' one-dimensional offense that relied heavily on Wilson. Third, this game was a testament to the Fever's resilience. Playing without Caitlin Clark, who's been a focal point of their offense, could have been a recipe for disaster. But instead, the team rallied around Mitchell and Boston, showing they have the depth and heart to compete with anyone. Kelsey Mitchell summed it up perfectly in her post-game interview. There is a lot of resilience and perseverance in our group. For us, the goal was to make sure we defend the whole game, and that's what you saw. For the Aces, this was a wake-up call. Their 8-9 record after the game was a far cry from their championship form of 2022 and 2023. Coach Becky Hammon didn't mince words, calling the performance trash and pointing to their poor shooting and lack of defensive effort. Outside of Wilson, no one stepped up. Jackie Young went 2 of 9 for 6 points, and Chelsea Gray managed just 2 points. The Aces' 17 turnovers and 26.2% shooting were glaring issues that need addressing if they want to get back to contender status. What does this game mean for the Fever moving forward? For one, it solidifies their identity as a defensive powerhouse. Their back-to-back performances against Minnesota and Las Vegas show they can hang with the league's best. It also highlights the growth of Aaliyah Boston and Kelsey Mitchell as leaders. Boston, a former South Carolina star, is becoming a dominant two-way force, while Mitchell's scoring and playmaking make her a legitimate all-star candidate. The Fever's ability to win without Clark also shows their depth, with players like Natasha Howard, Lexi Hull, and Sophie Cunningham stepping up in big moments. For the Aces, this loss raises questions about their consistency. With only 9 losses all of last season, they've already matched that total halfway through 2025. Wilson remains a superstar, but the supporting cast needs to find its rhythm. Players like Young and Gray have the talent, but they'll need to be more consistent for the Aces to make a deep playoff run. Let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture. This game was a turning point for the Fever. Coming off their Commissioner's Cup win, they're proving they're not just a feel-good story, but a legitimate contender. Their 9-8 record and third straight win show they're trending in the right direction. The return of Caitlin Clark, who's expected to be back soon, will only make them more dangerous. For the Aces, it's a reminder that even the best teams can have off nights, and they'll need to regroup quickly to avoid slipping further in the standings. Before we wrap up, let's give a shout-out to the Gainbridge Fieldhouse crowd. They were electric, especially after moments like Cunningham's steal and score in the third quarter. That kind of home energy can make a huge difference, and it clearly fueled the Fever's performance. Also, props to Coach Stephanie White for getting a technical foul in the fourth quarter. She was fired up, and even Caitlin Clark, watching from the bench, gave her a high five for it. That moment showed the passion this team plays with. So, what's next? The Fever stayed home to face the Los Angeles Sparks on July 5th, looking to extend their winning streak. The Aces, meanwhile, had to go back to the drawing board with tough matchups ahead as they try to climb back into the playoff picture. This game was a reminder of how unpredictable the WNBA can be. When a team like the Fever, missing their star player, can dominate a powerhouse like the Aces, it shows the depth and talent across the league. All right, let's get to some final thoughts. This 81-54 blowout was one of the most impressive performances of the season. Kelsey Mitchell and Aaliyah Boston proved they can carry the load, and the Fever's defense showed they're ready to compete with anyone. For the Aces, it's a tough pill to swallow, but Aja Wilson's 29 points were a reminder of why she's the best in the game. The question now is whether the Fever can keep this momentum going and whether the Aces can bounce back. What did you think of this game? Are the Fever legit contenders without Clark? Can the Aces turn things around? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and let's get the conversation going. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell for more WNBA content. We've got plenty more game recaps, player spotlights, and analysis coming your way. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.